This year in 1966. He was a CIA deputy director, he was a Princeton guy, and he was a member of CFR, Trilateral Commission, and of course here we have Bilderberg.
And again, we're sorry how rough this is. As soon as the internet got good, the roads got hammered to hell, so believe me, you think this is hard to watch, it's hard to do. To read and shoot while we do this.
Yeah, I'm getting sick for more than one reason, because of the bus itself and the things they're writing about, but Robert R. Bowie right here, should NATO be reorganized? He had the #1 policy paper for 1966, their top topic of the meeting that year, and he talks about how the Marshall Plan, the Schuman Plan, on and on, are all reasons why we must have a stronger NATO, how it's not just about the direct Soviet threat. He goes on to say in the following pages that even if there were no Soviet threat, we still need to integrate Europe, we need the common market, on, and we can't let the weaker countries of Europe destroy the NATO organization they are building. Of course, today, NATO is the one who launches the war, whether it be against Libya or the soon-to-come war.
It's the new army of the world. It's the new army of the world.
And again, if you didn't see our broadcast from a few days ago, the Syria war has been launched. It's coming.
We're going to show some of those articles, but continuing here, Aaron, remember, they've had Secretary of Defense and others say NATO orders war now, not Congress.
And it's completely treasonous, and you can see why they met at Bilderberg with the Carnegie Endowment Fund, with the Ford Foundation, of course David Rockefeller there from the very beginning, every year for most of his life. And these foundations, as you know, as Charlotte Iserby exposed and others, were investigated in the 1950s for their treason against the United States, its Constitution, what it stood for. They had an investigation into the ways they were undermining the country, using education as a weapon against the people.
Yeah, they're the ones that have dumbed us down, destroyed our culture to just get us out of the way. They're the ones launching the drones, the police state, the eugenics, the derivatives. These people are cold-blooded psychopaths.
And they are, in point of fact, in these documents from 1966 and surrounding documents from these key members, talking about using education to sell people on world government.
And this is the latest Bilderberg documents ever released. The only other ones we have are from the 50s. They got reported on in the 80s. BBC finally reported on them 5-6 years ago, admitting, oh, we set up the European Union by stealth. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, we did, just like the North American Union. Continue,
And so again, NATO, top topic of 1966. Here you can see the letterhead, Bilderberg meetings, 1966. Should NATO be reorganized? Robert Bowie. And then you see how it corresponds with things like the Atlantic Community Quarterly. That's a NATO journal selling people on the policy of NATO and the ways it needs to be built up. Very important document there. You have more things, the Atlantic Alliance Treaty and related agreements. That was a U.S. government committee operations Senate document from 1966. So again, they meet in secret at Bilderberg, the people on this list.
Then it's rolled down the media and as policy. And just like the CFR word for word writes our laws, they're now saying ban guns and use the Pentagon in every city against the people, including airstrikes on citizens.
That's right, and it's treasonous.
CFR called for that 2 days ago.
And it's treasonous.
They will take our guns. They will have civil war. They will put us in re-education camps now, admitted, unless we fight them. These are murderers. They've always hated this country. We are their final target.
And again, it's treasonous, not only because of the policy itself, but the way they meet in secret and really decide on policy at places like Bilderberg and then just jam it through, rubber stamp in Congress. Now I'll set these aside because we've talked about that. Now, let's go back to the list and see who else we could find from this year. We have, as we discussed...
Hey, let me stop right there. We're going to get to this in a minute, but I want to say something about the person, John 296. He says, I enjoy this stuff. It's not about you enjoying it, buddy, but I'm becoming bored. This is a person raised on television. The news is always bad, so what's next? I want to talk to him for a minute before we get back into this. It's 11 o'clock at night. We've been working straight for 2 weeks. Not because we're special. We want to survive. We're not doing this for entertainment. There's fantasy football. There's porn. There's all that stuff. We're doing this because we don't just have a foreign usurping class taking over. They want us dead. This is the end of history. A culture of death. A culture that's dying. These are very bad people. The fact that they are the bad guys, the fact that they are unelected, the fact that they're manipulating our society is the proof of the usurpation, the proof of the hijacking, the coup d'etat, the proof that we have an illegitimate criminal bureaucracy working for foreign institutions that's hijacked our nation in their own words. It's like cops finding a dead body out in the woods and saying, we're going to leave the dead body of the woman or the child out there because we want to go do something that's good news. You've got to deal with the criminal investigation to bring those to justice that did it, or no one's safe. Okay? Now, I'm just responding to that because people say, Alex, why don't you be more positive? I'm not going to go cross my legs under a tree somewhere and magically make little pieces of gold and, things appear with a bunch of bull. I'm not a magician. I'm telling you what's happening. I've told you what's coming. It's all unfolding exactly as we said because we go out the documents. These people are so arrogant, they think you don't even read them. Most of the stuff's public. We're giving you secret stuff. Now, I'm not going to sit there and respond to people that are watching this, but I know later when people watch this as an archive, there's going to be similar ones. Okay, fine. If you don't care and you want to have a good time, you think we're being negative, giving you what's happening, fine. Tune out, okay? History's never made by a majority. There's an evil minority and a good minority that fight it out, okay? So, again, stop your bitching and moaning. Go to hell. Go take some vaccines. Drink some fluoride. Say, hey, fluoride, not bad news. Vaccines, GMO. Go drink 6 gallons of Jack Daniels a day. Be positive. Jump off a cliff that's 10,000 feet tall and say, I'm positive. I won't splat on the bottom for all I care. Okay, if you don't get it and understand it, no one's getting out of this alive unless we defeat these people. Do you understand? Aaron, I don't mean to get digressed off into that, but man, I tell you, I am just so sick of that meme that we're being negative. What do you say to that?
I'm about to throw up on this bus from trying to read on a moving bus to bring you this information.
Maybe we should just turn it off then. Who wants secret documents? I bet there's some fantasy football. He can probably imagine he's doing a whole sports team. Go over the rest of it.
Look, they said these organizations didn't exist, Bilderberg, Skull and Bones, to get you distracted from it. Then when it's admitted they exist, they say they're just a frat club or just a hangout diplomatic club. No, this is the skeleton key to how they wrecked and ruined our lives. They gave us phony
These are sickening, horrible world ruiners.
They gave us phony pretexts for World War I, World War II, and all the rest of it.
Always in the name of peace when they want total war. Look at the drones, look at the death, look at the murder, look at the torture. Oh, but we should be positive, Aaron. Everything's fine, Aaron. We're not in a recession. Everything's fine.
They demonized the Nazis while I.G. Farben worked with the bankers to bankroll the Nazi war machine to make World War II happen so they could bring in world government, and they're bringing it, and they've been bringing it, and it's all admitted here. If you look up the names, it's there. Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Oh, but we shouldn't be negative. Oh, they're nice people. They want peace. Miss America said so. TSA checkpoints on highways. Body scanners. It's so positive. Oh, look, it's so positive. They met in secret. Go over that one individual we're talking about with all the connections, just to show all the jobs he had. Here. Go. Just show people that. Well, just keep going with your stack. Go ahead.
Well, this is John J. McCloy. Here's handwritten notes on the things McCloy said. Nationalism. He just repeatedly
it's the threat, get rid of it, destroy them. That means nationalism means you being in charge and actually voting, not foreign bankers that are eugenicists.
Look. The Wise Men, you've got to read this book if you're the reading type. I know most of you aren't. The Wise Men is this incredible book written by the system, admitting everything they did. Walter Isaacson, Evan Thomas, 2 real pieces of work, and yet they lay it all out in The Wise Men. Who are the Wise Men? Half of them are Skull and Bones. W. Averill Harriman, Robert A. Lovett, John J. McCloy. These are the people that are important. Dean Acheson may as well have
Go
been.
over it.
He went to Yale. John J. McCloy, first of all, W. Averill Harriman ran the bank that traded with Nazis. He was a Nazi financier. It was admitted. Prescott Bush worked with Harriman at his bank. They were partners. Alan Dulles and his brother, John Foster Dulles, were lawyers for Harriman's firm. They bankrolled the Nazis. They did deals. But it wasn't even that simple. They had an intermediary bank in the Netherlands so that no matter who won the war, they could shift the assets very quickly, and so that the bankers would continue to rule.
And they were getting the taxes. They were getting the taxes from the Axis and the West, the Allies, making money off both sides the entire time. This is full spectrum dominance.
Now, Prince Bernhard, the founder of the Bilderberg Group, was an SS officer in the SS Rider class, just an elite non-serving class. He was also in the Royal Air Force on the British side. Classic Hegelian, playing both sides. He was also the chairman of the board of IG Farben, an incredibly important position.
Made money right through the war exterminating people.
Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands. And then you've got John J. McCloy, the wise man, the skull and bones man who worked with Harriman from the very beginning, who was a lawyer for IG Farben. Do you begin to see how this works?
It's like Lord Milner in the 20s said, we'll create a dictator in Germany, set him up, let him wreck everything, and then take over everything. It's not that Hitler worked for him. They set him up, and England had a secret treaty with him, authorizing them to attack all these countries. Go ahead, continue.
John J. McCloy was skull and bones. Here he is in the notes of the 1966 Bilderberg meeting, talking about what trash nationalism is, talking about how de Gaulle is unfortunately going to revive nationalism, how de Gaulle's nationalism may revive Germany's nationalism. And then you look at what John J. McCloy went on to do after being in the meaningless frat Skull and Bones. He was counselor to IG Farben, as I just mentioned. He was Assistant Secretary of War under another Skull and Bones, Secretary of War during World War II. He carried out bombing campaigns. He weighed publicly whether or not to bomb Auschwitz, but decided they couldn't do it. He was on the IG Farben board. He would go on to be president of the World Bank. Again, population reduction, world finances. What are they talking about this meeting? It's officially on the agenda that Prince Bernhard mailed out to the attendees, that it's about developing an undeveloped world international finances. He would also later be the chair of David Rockefeller's Chase Manhattan.
We're talking about one guy. It shows how there's only a few hundred. Go through it again. Skull and Bones. Go through everything that one guy was.
John J. McCloy had ties to Harriman's very important Nazi bank. He was a member of Skull and Bones. He was a lawyer for IG Farben, the Nazi, you know what I'm talking about, the Nazi group that did
Industrial Combine.
That was funded by the West, admittedly.
And people like my grandfather were not allowed to bomb. They were risking their lives flying over Europe in B-17s. Go to and everything else.
It was all funny to them.
Head of the World Bank.
I just dare you to read the Wise Men book. He was.
Yeah, they laugh at your ass. Go ahead.
He was Assistant Secretary of War in World War II under Henry Stimson, another Skull and Bones guy, but one generation up. He became president of the World Bank, talking about how to deal with the population problem, how to manage the world's resources and make sure the corporations got it, just like they always talked about. The old Marine who complained that they were just taking over.
Smedley Butler.
Thank you. Then he became chairman of the Chase Manhattan Bank. That's David Rockefeller. At Bilderberg from the very beginning, and of course here in 1966. But that's not all. He'd be president of the Ford Foundation, undermining our country, committing treason once again.
That's one member of Bilderberg. One. When you know all their names, they run everything. That's why this is important. They're the ones that put the fluoride in your water, the mercury in your vaccines, and they all talk about how they want to kill you and your family.
Oh, but that's not all. John J. McCloy, also chairman of the Council on Foreign Relations, admittedly setting up world government, destroying national sovereignty, again, as it's in these notes from 1966. And he was on the Warren Commission covering up JFK's death. I just gave you a bombshell quote about how they wanted to send 300,000 troops to Vietnam, and JFK said that ain't gonna happen. Well, it happened.
And they said, you die. Continue, Aaron. Go through the documents.
So John J. McCloy, absolute bombshell, a so-called wise man, infiltrated the JFK.
Handwritten notes from Bilderberg, 1966. Bombshell leaks.
And here he is talking about de Gaulle and how horrible his nationalism is, how it can revive nationalism everywhere. Also big on the NATO issue. Again, this meeting was all about
because nationalism isn't them in a foreign treaty organization with their traitors in government shining over. 2012, Obama, SecDef, Panetta, all of them tell Congress, NATO's the boss. NATO's the boss. NATO's the boss. NATO runs America. NATO runs Skynet drones. It's all happening.
And again, John J. McCloy, in these handwritten notes, just obsessively repeats about nationalism, the pre-1914, that means World War I, mishmash of nationalism. And
which again they engineer, they pose as the saviors.
Again, replaying nationalism, throwing back to nationalism over and over in here. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Now, meanwhile, I mentioned how they're having a